Hi, this is Rich Estrella. I'm the agency manager for the Fidelity family of companies in New York. Paul Malon, our regional counsel, and we're here today to talk about the TOEPP policy.
Rich, that's a great topic. This policy has been around since 2001. It's for residences, and the first time I saw it, I said, this is going to be the hottest thing for the market. And I don't really understand why most attorneys haven't made this a requirement when they're representing purchasers of homes.
Well, I'm hopeful that after our discussion, they'll now recognize the benefits of the TOEPP policy. Why don't we jump into one of the first talking points? Post-policy coverage, Paul. What is your thought about post-policy?
Post-policy coverage, Rich, there's nothing else like this. We have coverage in there that if somebody forges the homeowner's name on a document, records it, and they get named in a lawsuit by reason of this forgery, we've got them covered. We've got their back on this one. I don't know that there's anything else out there that's like this.
Very true. A void deed is a void deed, but there's going to be attorney's fees associated with curing titles. So better that we pay for it than the insured.
Better than we pay for it. And again, this is not something that you have to pay for on a monthly basis or an annual basis. This is written into the policy. It's a title policy in that regard like any other. Once you pay the policy, your premium is done, no more payments, and it lasts as long as you own the home.
Very good point, Paul. And I know that we all heard identity theft is real. Fraudulent deeds and mortgages rampant in the state of New York, so that's an excellent coverage under the policy. So a second feature that we can discuss is regarding C of Os and building permits. Always not covered under the policy. What can the TOEPP policy provide?
Now in this policy, there's coverage for certain things regarding building permits. There's a coverage that if you cannot get a building permit once you own the home because there's current violations on there that were there before you took title, then we have a claim under the policy. You can't get a permit. Now what do? You've got to find out what it is, what your loss is, and we've got to pay for that. The other one is if there's something on your property which was done illegally, required a permit, and needs to be removed, then we're going to pay for the cost of removal on that. And this is not, everybody thinks of that, well, you have a house and they're not going to tell you remove the house. And that's not always what it is. They're going to tell you you have to remove the 2 new bathrooms in this, and now you have a home without bathrooms. So you've got to start looking at it for these things. We actually had a woman that I know of bought this policy. I don't know where the claim went, but bought a policy, bought a mother-daughter house because she had an adult child with special needs. 6 months later, the building inspector came, knocked on the door and said, when are you going to get the permits signed off? And after we did an investigation, we found the building department in that town misfiled the permits. So when we did our title work and the municipals were run, nobody knew there were open permits. Now this woman has to start redoing the work. It wasn't done up to code. She's got to bring it up to code and get it all signed off. And she's covered under the TOEPP policy, whereas if she didn't have that policy, she would have no coverage whatsoever. She'd be out of pocket, and she's obviously not in a financial condition to pay for any of this.
And Paul, as an attorney representing an insured, I'm sure you wouldn't want to get a phone call after the closing telling you about permits and C of O issues that your client is now responsible for.
No, it's bad enough that the issues do come up, and like I say, they come up ordinarily with something that you assume is legal, and then the building inspector tells you that it's not. Now you've got to remove, you've got to do something with it, and who has the money to do that?
What type of coverage is provided? How much are we responsible for under the TOEPP?
There's a deductible on it. I think it's up to $25,000 that we're responsible for. But again, there is no other coverage that you can buy. There is nothing else available.
The third feature of the TOEPP policy is regarding the amount of insurance that the policy increases. What is
That's another one I don't understand. The policy increases 10% of the face amount of the policy for each of the first 5 years. So 5 years after you bought the property, you have 50% more coverage than on the face value of the policy. It's like getting a free future market value rider built into the policy itself. So yes, there's a future market value rider. If you think that we're in a market where it's gonna go up more than 50% in 5 years, you can buy that. But generally, that's gonna cover most people 50% more than they paid for originally, and it's already built into the policy.
So the TOEPP policy, post-policy coverage for fraud, covers you for missing C of Os and permits, and it increases in value 5 times over the course of the
First 5 years.
first 5
Right,
years.
right.
Excellent coverage, Paul. Great conversation. Thank you all.
Thank you.